I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. On the day that the contraception mandate takes effect, where does the pro-life movement go from here? We'll talk with the National Right to Life spokesperson for some answers. Plus, a look back at the Rally for Religious Freedom as citizens took action to protest the HHS mandate.
It is my prayer that when people hear these messages at these rallies, each person who hears this message will be inspired.
And there's no business like show business. A teen club in Queens revive a legendary Broadway musical.
It really comes across. They have so much enthusiasm and a love for what they're doing that it's going to be a lot of fun.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. In a landmark decision, a majority of the U.S. House of Representatives voted to reject the current abortion policy of the District of Columbia. D.C. now permits illegal abortion for any reason until birth, but the vote fell short of the two-thirds necessary for passage. Now, this vote comes the same week a federal judge in Arizona upheld as constitutional a new state law that generally prohibits abortion after 18 weeks fetal age. Charmaine Yost, president and CEO of Americans United for Life, praised the Arizona ruling, saying the law, quote, shows real concern for women and their unborn children. Douglas Johnson, legislative director for the National Right to Life Committee, says while these developments are encouraging, there is a lot more work to be done. I spoke with Douglas earlier today. Douglas, we're talking today about the District of Columbia Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, a very long name. Can we have you explain exactly what that means?
Yes, this may come as a shock to a lot of your listeners, but in the District of Columbia, the nation's capital, there is no abortion law at all. The city council repealed the entire abortion law, so it's now legal in the nation's capital for an abortionist to perform an abortion for any reason up until the moment of birth. Now, the Constitution gives the Congress the responsibility for governing the federal capital, and so this bill was proposed by Congressman Trent Franks, which would replace that extreme policy with a new law that would protect the unborn child, prohibit abortion after 20 weeks fetal age, which is about the beginning of the 6th month. And after that point, under this bill, abortion would only be permitted in the nation's capital if the mother's life was in danger.
Okay, and we saw 154 lawmakers voting to defend this current D.C. policy of legal abortion, and that's for any reason until birth, as you mentioned. Now, you argue that they're going to have some explaining to do to their constituents. What do you hope will happen once the explaining starts?
Well, of course, this is a policy that's far more extreme than most Americans support, and even a lot of people who would call themselves pro-choice recoil at the notion of these very late abortions if the mother is not in serious jeopardy. So we think that, of course, people should take this into account. If a lawmaker, a member of Congress, is so captive to the extreme pro-abortion advocacy groups, Planned Parenthood, National Abortion Rights Action League, that they're willing to endorse even this, what could be more extreme? You can't really come up with anything. No limitation whatever up to the moment of birth. Then I think they should be held accountable. Certainly, I wouldn't want to be represented if I had a choice by someone who had that position. Now, we should mention, though, that a strong majority of the House did vote in favor of this bill, and this was the first time this has ever come up in the House. And it came up under a fast-track procedure because it's right at the end of the session that they're having right now. And it got 220 votes, so it was 220 to 154 in favor of the bill. Unfortunately, the 154 was enough to block it because of the fast-track procedure, but this is going to come back. This vote lays a groundwork for future successful efforts to make this the law.
Okay. And as you mentioned, it can't be fast-tracked because it didn't get enough votes, but you're in a good position now to have it signed into the law. What must happen now in order to push that forward?
Well, frankly, we need to have a different makeup in the U.S. Senate because the Senate has been the graveyard for pro-life legislation these last 2 years. The House has passed a number of important pro-life bills, and all of them have been buried and killed in the Senate under the direction of Harry Reid, the Democrat leader. So we're hoping that we get some more pro-life support into the Senate in this next election, and that a lot of these pro-life bills that have been passing the House would then also be able to pass the Senate. Of course, we also have to have a president who's willing to sign them, and regrettably, the current president has been unremittingly hostile to anything pro-life and has, in fact, in numerous areas of public policy, expanded abortion.
Right. And Douglas, on a more encouraging note, though, a federal judge has ruled that Arizona's partial birth abortion ban is constitutional, a decision that could allow for more restrictive laws based on the prevention of fetal pain and late-term abortion risks to women's health. What's your reaction to that?
Well, this is a very encouraging development, and this is the first time a federal court has considered a limitation on abortion that is based on the capacity of the unborn child to experience pain. And that is also the basis for the bill we've just been discussing, the evidence, which is quite compelling, that at least by the stage of development, 20 weeks or about the beginning of the 6th month, if not earlier, the unborn child has the capacity to experience great pain, and does experience great pain during these late abortion methods, because they're very violent, of course. The most common method involves literally tearing off arms and legs and crushing the skull with a long steel clamp, about 13 inches long, that was demonstrated at a congressional hearing recently.
Right.
Not an actual abortion, but a former abortionist demonstrated how it was done.
And Douglas, I also want to mention, too, that the Arizona law takes effect on August 2nd, which is tomorrow, and it's the same week another controversial law goes into effect, and of course that's the initial implementation of this HHS mandate. Douglas, what are your thoughts on that rule and what it implies about the right to life and of course, religious liberty?
Well, two things. Number one, this is just one of the ticking time bombs in the Obamacare health care law, and of course we warned when the Congress was considering that law that it was loaded up with different provisions that could be and would be used to expand federal subsidies for abortion and federal mandates that would expand abortion. And here we have a mandate that's come out of the Obama administration that's going to force or attempt to force countless religiously affiliated institutions and private employers to pay for things that they're morally objecting to. It's a very serious matter. But the authority that the administration is invoking to do this, if President Obama is reelected, they could employ to issue one mandate after another. The next mandate could be on surgical abortions. So that the implications of this are very grave, and this is something we've been involved in, but again, we don't see any immediate prospect for relief in the Congress. The courts are being appealed to, but the real remedy is through the political process.
All right. Okay, Douglas, thank you, and I'm afraid that is the last word, but I really do appreciate your joining us today and helping us put this in perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you. And stay tuned. The day's top headlines coming up next. Welcome back to Currents. Sad news to report today. Monsignor James P. King, who served as the Chancellor of the Diocese of Brooklyn from 1965 to 1976, has died. He would have been 92 next week. Monsignor King died early this morning, August 1st, at Bishop McGovern Residence for Retired Priests in Douglaston, where he had been living since 2002. A mass of Christian burial will be celebrated for Monsignor King next Tuesday, August 7th at 11 a.m. at St. Mel's Church, Flushing, where he was pastor from 1976 to 1991. And in other news, the Vatican Information Services closes. Rome Reports has the details.
This was the last issue of the Vatican Information Service. It was created in 1991 in the press office of the Holy See, and daily provides news translations on stories about the Pope, the Vatican, and their official press releases. The Pope's prayer intentions for August and his private meetings were part of the last communique to be sent by the Vatican department known by its acronym of VIS. It was also the first part of the Vatican to create a blog. Now, 21 years later, its services will largely be handled by the newly created website news.va and the official bulletin of the Holy See. Starting in September, it will be available in English, Spanish, and French. The followers of the VIS can now receive a similar service from the Daily Bulletin to follow everything that's happening in and outside the Vatican walls.
And in the Chick-fil-A controversy, Mayor Rahm Emanuel of Chicago has overstepped his bounds with his remarks. That is Chicago Cardinal Francis George's opinion anyway. The Cardinal feels that the mayor, who recently stated that Chick-fil-A's public backing of traditional marriage is against the values of Chicago, was being presumptuous. Quote, recent comments by those who administer our city seem to assume that the city government can decide for everyone what are the values that must be held by citizens of Chicago, said the Cardinal on Sunday. Chick-fil-A has been in the middle of a media crossfire as of late. Mayor Emanuel has stated that Chick-fil-A values are not Chicago values, and many feel he plans to bar the restaurant from the city's first ward. Well, Hillary Clinton's religious freedom report is not being backed by action. That, says expert Dr. Thomas Farr. He's director of the Religious Freedom Project at the Berkeley Center for Religion, Peace, and World Affairs at Georgetown University, and he stated that a report does not address its findings in a concrete or meaningful manner. The report he is referring to is one that outlines trends of religious freedom violations worldwide. Blasphemy laws, anti-Semitism, and violent extremism are included in this list, which compiles the findings in 8 countries that are referred to as countries of particular concern. Farr states that although the Secretary of State's language used to support the religious freedom was very good, he felt that practical policies are not offered. And now to the Pope's vacation home, where he is renewing his general audiences. Rome Reports has more on that.
Despite being on vacation at his summer residence in Castel Gandolfo, the Pope has resumed his general audiences every Wednesday. Crowds of people gathered in the town's Liberty Plaza to hear him speak about the teachings on prayer by St. Alphonsus Liguori, an 18th century bishop and a doctor of the Church.
I greet also English-speaking pilgrims, especially those from England and the United States. Today, the Church celebrates the feast of St. Alphonsus de Liguori, the founder of the Redemptorists, a great moral theologian and a master of prayer. St. Alphonsus teaches us the beauty of daily prayer, in which we open our minds and hearts to the Lord's presence and receive the grace to live wisely and well. By his example and intercession, may you and your families come to know God's saving love and experience his abundant blessings.
He said that along with confession, prayer is a way to arrive at sainthood.
Sant'Alfonso voleva far comprendere che in ogni situazione della vita non si può fare a meno di pregare, specie nel momento della prova e nelle difficoltà. Sempre dobbiamo bussare con fiducia alla porta del Signore, sapendo che in tutto Egli si prende cura dei Suoi figli di noi.
Benedict XVI noted that the disciples of Jesus lived through difficult times and were only able to overcome them through prayer.
Il rapporto con Dio è essenziale nella nostra vita, nella preghiera personale quotidiana e con la partecipazione ai sacramenti. E così questa relazione può crescere in noi la presenza divina che indirizza il nostro cammino, lo illumina e lo rende sicuro e sereno, anche in mezzo a difficoltà e pericoli.
The Pope then highlighted the importance of humility in recognizing weakness and asked God to help in confidence. In his greetings, he made an invitation not to abandon prayer during the summer holidays.
Meantime, in Hong Kong, tens of thousands of protesters gathered to decry the government's national education plan. The Catholic Church and other religious bodies are concerned about the initiative that has protesters chanting slogans against, quote, brainwashing and thought control. Other concerns include favoring a one country, two systems arrangement between Hong Kong and mainland China. On July 18th, Catholic officials rejected a push by the Hong Kong Education Bureau to have schools adopt the curriculum for the 2012-2013 year. Critics fear the program will mirror, quote, patriotic education or so-called ultra-nationalist and pro-communist aspects. A recently formed diocesan task force is currently studying the issue, and the church has indicated that it hopes to reach an agreement with Hong Kong officials before 2015 to implement the required changes in a manner acceptable to both sides. And lastly, a Princeton professor pushes for the removal of pornography from hotels. Catholic law professor Robert George is calling on hotel CEOs to look at the potential damage from offering pornography. Pornography is part of a larger phenomenon that's rooted in the fundamental misunderstanding of sexuality, George told Catholic News Agency back in July. He's been writing letters to CEOs in addition to speaking out, and he feels that this process will be more productive than that of a protest or boycott because the letters will present moral values to the businessmen. He attempts to appeal to their consciences by asking them to think of the females involved in pornography as daughters and wives. Accompanying him in the letter writing is well-respected Muslim intellectual Sheikh Hamza Youssef. The fact he is teaming up with a man of Islamic faith prompted George to make the following statement. Catholics should never hesitate to reach out across the theological divide and partner with people who share our basic values. Stay tuned. There's more currents after the break. Coming up, looking back at a local rally that shined a spotlight on religious freedom and the fight against the HHS mandate.
We invite everybody to study hard, what the issue is, and to pray hard too, and then get involved.
Welcome back. Today, August 1st, is the day that the Obama HHS mandate requiring that employers cover abortion drugs, contraception, and sterilization in the health insurance plans takes effect. Many statements have been issued decrying this as a day when many Americans of faith lost some of their essential freedoms to act in accord with their faith. Among those was Paul E. Rondeau, Executive Director of American Life League, who said, quote, "The president's HHS mandate redefines and marginalizes religious freedom in favor of government ideology. History tragically teaches us that if our government can abolish one constitutional right, then all constitutional rights are put in jeopardy." Now, this path sets a dangerous and foolish precedent that First Amendment rights such as freedom of speech, association, freedom of the press, and the rights to assemble and petition the government may be just as easily curtailed in the future, end quote. Back in June, we took our cameras to a rally for religious freedom on the steps of Federal Hall in Manhattan. Today, we revisit that gathering, which had some prophetic words.
On this date, June 8th, in the year of our Lord, 1789, on these steps, in this hall, James Madison submitted to the First Congress a Bill of Rights. And that first right recommended Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
The Health and Human Services Secretary has said that every American has to pay $1 per month for abortion, birth control, and contraceptive services. And we, in good faith, in good conscience, cannot do that.
1, this is not about contraception. 2, this is not about contraception. And 3, this is not about contraception. It's about religious liberty.
This isn't about contraception. This is really about religious freedom. And that if our government takes away this issue, what's next? And it's not just a matter of, of certain faith, of, again, like contraception, but it truly is about having religious freedom for all religion.
We're here because an assault has been launched on our religious freedoms. But it is being done in the name of bad science.
Those who support the mandate are trying to paint us as waging a war on women. Medically, the birth control is seldom the best treatment, and actually, because doctors very quickly place women on the birth control pill, they fail to really look for the underlying problems and correct them, which is the approach that we take. So at our center, we treat a lot of women's health conditions. We almost never use the birth control pill because there's usually a better, safer, more natural alternative.
We invite everybody to study hard, what the issue is, and to pray hard too, and then get involved and support this cause. It's better for us to start working now that we can prevent, instead of then crying for the effects and the consequences of this when there is nothing to do.
especially for young people like me and a lot of the young people that were here today. This issue of religious freedom and of conscience is really big because we have a voice and we want to let it be heard.
It is my prayer that when people hear these messages at these rallies, each person who hears this message will be inspired to at least share it in his or her own community, around his or her own dinner table, with the little children in their world. And if we each do that, then the message will resonate.
Let's give it up for USA!
And stay tuned, there's more currents after the break. When we come back, we'll lighten things up a bit as we visit a teen club in Queens that is ready to pull up the curtain on its summer spectacular.
The parents love it. The relatives all love it, seeing their kids up on stage, no matter how big or how small the part. They just like seeing their kids involved with something bigger than they are.
Finally tonight, we went out to Richmond Hill to Holy Child Jesus Parish, where the teen drama production is one of the highlights of the summer. This year's presentation of Annie Get Your Gun is sure to be a crowd pleaser. The youngsters are in the home stretch of rehearsals, and as you'll see, they're working hard to bring some solid family entertainment to their neighborhood in Queens.
My name is Kevin McCauley, and I'm the director down here at Teen Drama. The production is Annie Get Your Gun, with music by Irving Berlin. And really what people can expect when they come to see it is just a lot of fun. One of the great things about this show is that there's a lot of large dance numbers, which is, we really look for shows that can get all the kids engaged. We have so many kids down here, it's important to pick shows that have strong ensembles. We have a huge cast and crew of teenagers working very hard, and it really comes across. They have so much enthusiasm and a love for what they're doing that it's going to be a lot of fun.
It was always a huge part of kind of being a member of the parish is that everyone sees the show. It doesn't matter if you have a child in it or who you are, is that you come to see the show. And if you do have children, your children then are in the show when they're teenagers. It's kind of a huge rallying point for the parish and the neighborhood in general.
So the parents love it. The relatives all love it, seeing their kids up on stage, no matter how big or how small the part. They just like seeing their kids involved with something bigger than they are.
A lot of the parishioners look forward to this every year. We sell out. We set up 330 seats. I'd say at each show we sell out 300 of them.
It's something that the neighborhood looks forward to every year, coming with their families. It's really a family event. All the shows we do are great for bringing whole families, people from cousins, everything. And I think especially the kids from the elementary school, even though we're a teen group, so none of the kids from Holy Child are age eligible to be in the group, they see it and they come and visit and they see the productions every summer. By the time they go to high school, they want to be in teen drama.
We have great support from the parish. People who can't buy tickets donate money. They donate their time. Not only the parents, but like me, who no longer have kids in the group, they come back year after year.
Got no butler, got no maid. Still I thank God for no pain. I got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. We got the sun.
We rehearse 5 times a week, which is a lot. You can expect so much because we have so many great and talented people, young people too, which is very hard. For 13 and 19 years old, working their butts off, to put this performance on, and you can expect a really great show to come and see it in the beginning of August. So
it's really our most active teen club for the parish, or teen activity for the parish. So it's a good way, to involve the teenagers in a parish activity.
I think that it's always a really good thing to have a place for children for teenagers especially, because it's such a hard kind of period in one's life, a place to come and to be able to express yourself in a safe environment with other teenagers where you're protected, kind of. It's like, it's not babysitting, but you're certainly being kept a close eye on so that you can't get into any trouble, and you really kind of get to flourish as an individual, as a member of a Catholic community.
And Annie Get Your Gun runs at Holy Child Jesus Parish on Thursday, August 9th at 7 p.m., August 10th and 11th at 8 p.m., and a 3 p.m. Sunday matinee on August 12th. That is all for tonight. Be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. You can also follow us on Twitter. Look for us there at currentsny. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faublas. As we leave tonight, we take another look at Holy Child Jesus' rehearsals of Annie Get Your Gun.
Check